Hi there, my name is Katie and welcome to this online Christ-centered chair yoga practice. Before we get started, let's make sure we have a good setup. So I have a chair with no arms because we'll be moving from side to side across the chair. And then please just make sure your chair is nice and stable. So I'm practicing on the hardwood floor and I have a yoga mat underneath my chair. You might be on the carpet. Just make sure you don't have an office chair with wheels. We want to make sure that our chair is nice and stable and not going to slide around. So once you have your secure setup, you can go ahead and sit down in your chair with your hips at the edge of the chair and then lean your shoulders back against the back of the chair. You can relax all of your limbs down. Maybe you want to close your eyes here and just start to focus on your breath. Nice long inhales through your nose. Nice long exhales through your nose or your mouth. Just slowing it down, deepening your breath. And while you are relaxing back and breathing, I'm going to read our devotional for today. Our devotional today comes from the book Praying the Names of God by Anne Spangler. And today we're going to focus on the Hebrew name of God, Yahweh Yireh, also sometimes pronounced as Jehovah Jireh, which means the Lord will provide. So again, just take some deep breaths and relax as I read this. So the Hebrew verb ra, from which Yireh or Jireh is derived, means to see. In this case, it is translated as provide. Since God sees the future as well as the past and the present, He is able to anticipate and provide for what is needed. Interestingly, the English word provision is made up of two Latin words that mean to see beforehand. So when you pray to Yahweh Yireh or Jehovah Jireh, you are praying to the God who sees the situation beforehand and is able to provide for your needs. In order to introduce this name of God, I'm going to read a section of scripture over you from Genesis. And this isn't the happiest story in the Bible. If you're familiar, it's actually the story when God asks Abraham to sacrifice his son. But I promise by the end, it'll tie in with this name of God, Yahweh Yireh or Jehovah Jireh, and you will see how the Lord provides. So just relax back, take some deep breaths, and let me read this over you from Genesis 22. It says, "Later, God tested Abraham and called to him. 'Abraham.' 'Yes, here I am,' he answered. God said, 'Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains that I will show you.' Early the next morning, Abraham saddled his donkey. He took with him two of his servants and his son Isaac. When he had cut the wood for the burnt offering, he set out for the place that God had told him about. 2 days later, Abraham saw the place in the distance. Then Abraham said to his servants, 'You stay here with the donkey while the boy and I go over there. We'll worship, and after that, we'll come back to you.' Then Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and gave it to his son Isaac. Abraham carried the burning coals and the knife. The two of them went on together. Isaac spoke up and said, 'Father.' 'Yes, son,' Abraham answered. Isaac asked, "We have the burning coals and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham answered, "God will provide a lamb for the burnt offering." The two of them went on together. When they came to the place that God had told him about, Abraham built the altar and arranged the wood on it. Then he tied up his son Isaac and laid him on top of the wood on the altar. Abraham picked up the knife and took it in his hand to sacrifice his son. But the messenger of God called to him from heaven and said, "Abraham, Abraham." "Yes," he answered. "Do not lay a hand on the boy," he said. "Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you did not refuse to give him your son, your only son." When Abraham looked around, he saw a ram behind him caught by its horns in a bush. So Abraham took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering in place of his son. Abraham named that place Yahweh Yireh, or Jehovah Jireh. It is still said today, "On the mount of Yahweh it will be provided." So Moriah, the site of Abraham's thwarted attempt to sacrifice his son, has been traditionally associated with the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Though scholars debate the location, it is interesting to note that the traditional location is today occupied by a Muslim shrine called the Dome of the Rock. Jesus, whom John the Baptist called the Lamb of God, is thought to have been crucified just a quarter-mile away from Mount Moriah. It is there that Yahweh Yireh, or Jehovah Jireh, provided the one sacrifice that would make our peace with him. So now that you know the whole story, I thought that history was really interesting, that the place that God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son, only a couple miles away, was the place where God sacrificed his son, Jesus. So that history is just really, really interesting. And it brings up the reflection question that I want you to breathe and think about. What is the most difficult sacrifice the Lord has asked you to make? How did you respond? I'll give you a few moments of breath to ponder that. When you're ready, you can sit up nice and tall away from the back of your chair. We'll begin to move. So a couple of quick announcements before we get started. We are going to be reaching our hands up to the sky a lot in this practice, signifying reaching up to God for his provision. And this is going to be a lot of shoulder work. And so if you have any shoulder issues, like a shoulder replacement or maybe a frozen shoulder, and you're not able to reach your arms all the way up, you are always welcome to reach your arms forward instead. That's still going to get you a great shoulder workout. So modify this practice as you need to. And also, I am filming these online videos while I'm pregnant, which means I have my own modifications and restrictions. So in this practice, I'm going to ask you to do some twists, which I'm not allowed to do twists while pregnant. So I will guide you through the twist, but I won't be demonstrating the twist in my own body. So just keep that in mind. That's the beautiful thing about yoga, is you can modify and adapt the practice to whatever your body needs. So we'll go ahead and get started. Scoot your hips to the edge of the chair so your back is away from the back of the chair, sitting up nice and tall. And go ahead and take your left ankle over your right knee. You can always cross your ankle over ankle if that feels more comfortable. And maybe this feels like a good enough hip stretch right here. If you want a little bit more sensation, you can start to lean it forward. Taking a breath. Go ahead and inhale your way back up. Take your right hand to your left knee. Maybe your left hand comes to the back of the chair and you can pull yourself over in a twist. Remembering to breathe. Twist back towards the center and then take your knee up towards the ceiling, the sole of your foot down towards the ground. You can wrap your hands around your knee and maybe pull your knee in towards your chest, giving your hips a little squeeze. Taking a breath here. And then you can go ahead and release that. We'll do the opposite side. So right ankle crosses over your left knee. You can always cross ankle over ankle. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you lean forward to get some more sensation. Taking a breath. And then inhale your way back up. Your left hand comes to your right knee. Your opposite hand can come to the chair back behind you, and you can twist over towards the side. Taking a breath. Twist back towards the center. Take your knee up, sole of your foot down towards the ground. Wrap your hands around your knee. Pull it in, giving yourself a little hug. Go ahead and release that. You can uncross your legs. Bring your hands to your hips, sitting up nice and tall. We're gonna go through some barrel rolls. So imagine that you are sitting on the inside of a barrel, and using your core, you have to scrape all sides of the barrel. So press your heart forward, maybe you squeeze your shoulder blades together, and then bring your core over to one side. You're gonna round it back, bringing your chin to your chest, and then over to the opposite side. And once you've got that movement down, you can make it a little bit faster. Again, kind of scraping all sides of that barrel with your core. Rounding in a 360-degree motion with your spine. And then switch the direction of your circle, so roll the opposite way. Remembering to breathe. Very nice. Coming back to the center. Take your left hand behind your back. You're going to bring your right ear to your right shoulder. And then maybe you take your right hand up and over and you gently kind of pull your head down. I'm feeling a really good stretch on my neck here. Taking a breath. Moving everything back to the center, we'll do the other side. So right hand comes behind your back, left ear comes to left shoulder. Maybe you take your other hand up and over and gently pull your head down. Remembering to breathe. Bring everything back to the center. Now take your neck in a circle all the way around, just rolling it out. When you get back to the top, you can pause for a moment and then switch the direction of your circles. slowly come back to the center. Go ahead and interlace your hands together and just roll out your wrists in a figure 8 motion. Very nice. You can release your hands, bring it down. I'm still at the edge of my chair, and I'm going to bring the soles of my feet together so that my knees open up like a book. And maybe this feels like a good enough hip stretch right here. If you want a little bit more, you can start to lean it forward. Remembering to breathe. Inhale your way back up. Let's do it again. This time, bringing your hands behind your back, interlaced. You're gonna press your knuckles down towards the seat of the chair and then forward fold. This forces you to rely on your core strength a little bit more. Inhale your way back up. You can release your hands, bring your feet back to normal. I'm going to lean my shoulders back against the back of the chair, hold on to the side of the chair, lift both legs up a little bit, doesn't have to be very high, and go ahead and circle out your ankle. Remembering to breathe. Making sure to go one direction and then the opposite way. Very nice. You can plant that down, sit up nice and tall. Let's get into our flow. So I'm going to interlace my hands together, but release my pointer finger and my thumb. This is called a steeple grip. It kind of looks like Charlie's Angels hands. So get your steeple grip. This is where that shoulder work comes in. So if it feels comfortable to you, you can lift your arms up towards the sky, or if that is not comfortable, you can always bring your hands down. So inhale your arms up. Really get nice and tall as if you are reaching up to God, reaching for His provision. Now imagine that you are sitting in between two panes of glass and you can only move side to side. You can't bend forward and you can't lean back. You can only go side to side. So inhale up nice and tall. Exhale, lean over towards the left. I'm feeling a nice side body stretch. Inhale back to the center. Exhale, lean over towards the right. Inhale back to the center. Exhale your steeple grip hands to your heart. And then take your right elbow. You're going to twist it down towards your left knee. Again, I have to be careful with twists, so I'm not going to demonstrate this fully, but you can be able to twist over as far as you'd like. So take a breath here. Feel this nice twist in your spine. Twist back towards the center. See if you can keep your steeple grip, but just scooch over to the left side of your chair. Step your left foot back. I'm kind of on the ball of my back foot. My back knee is a little bit bent. My hips are twisted towards the front. And then take your steeple grip, inhale as you reach it up, and then exhale, you're gonna lean forward, making a diagonal line with your upper body. Remember to breathe. And then inhale your way back up. I'm going to release my hands as I open up my hips towards the side. So my back leg is extended, I'm bended into my front knee, my hips are now facing the side, and my arms are extended over my legs for a warrior two. And maybe you're looking over your front hand. Taking a breath here. Now bring your hands back into that steeple grip, and then you're going to take your back leg, step it forward, scooch back to the center of your chair. We'll do all of that on the opposite side. So you've got your steeple grip. Inhale your arms up or forward, whatever works best for you. You're reaching up for the Lord's provision. Imagine you're in between those two panes of glass, and then lean over towards the left. Inhale back towards the center. Exhale, lean over towards the right. Inhale back to the center. Exhale your hands down to your heart. You're going to take your left elbow and twist it towards your right knee. Remembering to breathe. Now twist it back towards the center, keeping your steeple grip. See if you can just scooch over to the right side of your chair so your right foot can step back. I'm on the ball of my back foot, back knee is bent, hips are twisted towards the front. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, lean it forward. Diagonal line with your upper body. Inhale your way back up. I'm going to release my hands, open my arms as my hips pivot towards the side of the room for that warrior two. Hold it here for a breath. And then bring your hands back to that steeple grip. You're going to take your back foot, stepping it forward, scooching back to the center of your chair. We are going to continue doing this same flow, so you're always welcome to keep flowing through it while seated. If you'd like to try it standing, I'm going to stand up, walk behind my chair. And we will keep flowing. So if you're standing, now imagine your whole body in between those two panes of glass. Start with your steeple grip fingers. Maybe you reach them up, reaching up for God's provision. Take an inhale. Exhale, you're going to lean towards the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, lean towards the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, bring your hands down to your heart. Take your right elbow. You're going to twist it down towards the top of the chair. Taking a breath here. Now bring it back towards the center. This next move, if you're standing, is a little bit of a balance challenge. See if you can keep your hands in that steeple grip, and you're just going to step your left foot back, or you can scooch to the left side of your chair if you're seated. If you're standing, go ahead and plant your back foot down. So my back foot is at about a 45-degree angle. I'm bending into my front knee, and hips are twisted towards the top of the chair. You can always have one hand on the chair if you need some support. Otherwise, you can have your steeple grip fingers. Go ahead and inhale them up. Exhale, you're going to lean forward, making that diagonal line. Inhale your way back up, and then you're going to open up your arms as your hips open towards the side of the room. So my back leg is still extended. I'm bending into my front knee, and now you're in a warrior two. Hold it here for a breath, and then bring your hands back to that steeple grip. If you're standing, here's another opportunity to practice your balance. I'm just going to pivot on my back foot, bringing my hips back towards the center of the chair. And then take your back foot, you're going to step it forward, coming back to the center. Let's do all of that on the opposite side. So steeple grip, inhale, reach up to Yahweh, Yireh, the Lord's provision. Take an inhale. Exhale, lean towards the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, lean towards the right. Inhale, center. Exhale your hands to your heart. Drop your left elbow towards the top of the chair. You can twist a lot farther than what I'm demonstrating. Take a breath here. Now twist back towards the center. See if you can keep your steeple grip and step back with your right foot or scooch to the right side of your chair if you're seated. If you're standing, I'm planted on my back foot, bending into my front knee, hips are twisted towards the front. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, lean it forward. Inhale your way back up. You're going to release your hands, open your hips and your arms towards the side of the room, coming into Warrior Two. And then take your hands back into that steeple grip. See if you can pivot on your back foot, twisting your hips towards the top of the chair, and then using your balance, step your back foot forward, coming back to center. Let's do that again, one more time on each side. So inhale, reach up for the Lord's provision. Exhale, lean towards the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, lean towards the right. Inhale, center. Exhale your hands down to your heart. Take your right elbow, twist it down. Inhale, center. Scooch to the left side of your chair or step your left foot back. Twisting your hips towards the front. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, lean it forward. Inhale, center. Exhale, you're going to open up into that Warrior Two, hips towards the side. Inhale your hands back into that steeple grip. Pivot your way back to the top of the chair and bring everything back towards the center. We have one more side to do. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, lean it to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, lean it to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale your hands to your heart. Drop your left elbow down in that twist. Inhale back to the center. Step your right foot back or scooch to the right side of your chair if you're seated. Bending into your front knee, hips twisted towards the front. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, lean it forward. Inhale your way back up. Open up towards the side, Warrior Two. Arms extended, hips are open. Inhale your hands back into that steeple grip. Pivot your way back to the center. And then if you're standing, you can step both feet together, shake it out, release your hands. Very nice. So in the story, we were talking about the ram that the Lord provided, and rams and sheep were associated with shepherding. And so our balance pose for today is going to be staff pose because it made me think of a shepherd's staff. So go ahead and walk to the left side of your chair. The leg that's closest to the chair is going to be your grounding leg. So I'm going to take a step forward with that one. My outside knee is going to bend. See if you can get it at a 90-degree angle coming out from your hip, and then flex into your foot. And then if you feel nice and balanced, maybe you hover your hands off the chair. If you feel like you've got that, maybe you bring your hands into that steeple grip. And it always helps with your balance to pick a spot on the floor in front of you, something that's not moving, that you can just focus on. And don't forget to breathe. These look great. Keep going. One more inhale. Exhale, you can release. Shake it out. Let's do the other side. So scooch to the other side of your chair. Again, leg that's closest to the chair is your grounding leg. So I like to take a step forward with that one, really planting on my feet. Your outside knee is going to bend at that 90-degree angle coming out from your hips. Flex into your foot. Maybe you hover your hands. Maybe you can bring your hands in that steeple grip. If you fall out, you can come right back in. And it's okay to have a wobbly staff pose. You're just practicing your balance. Maybe one side feels different than the other. Take a breath. Exhale, release. Shake it out. Very nice. And you can come back to seated in your chair. Keep your hips at the edge of the chair so your back is away from the back of the chair. Let's do one more shoulder exercise. So I'm going to goalpost or cactus my arms. Take your left elbow on the bottom. From here, you can hug your shoulders. You can bring the backs of your hands together. Maybe you can do a double bind, bringing the front of your hands together. Whatever variation of arms you're doing is great. And see if you can just lift and lower your elbows a little bit. Stretching into your shoulders. Go ahead and unpretzel your arms, shake it out. We'll do the opposite side. So goalpost or cactus. This time your right elbow comes on the bottom. Again, you can hug your shoulders, you can have backs of hands, maybe front of palms. Start to lift and lower your elbows. Remembering to breathe. Go ahead and release that, shake it out. Let's do one more pose to kind of reset our backs. So I'm going to inhale my hands to my heart, sitting up nice and tall. And then exhale, I'm going to lean it forward for a forward fold. You can always rest your hands on your thighs or your forearms on your thighs if you have any blood pressure issues or dizziness. Or maybe you can melt all the way down towards the floor, releasing your head and your neck, letting it hang heavy. Feeling that nice release on your low back. On your next inhale, put your hands on your knees, slowly push yourself back up, and you can relax your shoulders back against the back of the chair like we did at the beginning of class. You can relax all of your limbs down. Start to deepen your breath. While you are relaxing back and breathing, I'm going to read the final part of our devotional. So we've talked about Yahweh Yireh or Jehovah Jireh, meaning the Lord will provide. And as you lay here and breathe, I want you to reflect on, in what ways has Yahweh Yireh provided for you? Think about the last week, the last month, the last year. What is something you're still waiting on God's provision for? As you lay here and breathe with open hands, palms up towards the sky, can you ask God and pray for His provision in your situation? Take another moment of breath. And then you can sit up nice and tall away from the back of your chair. We'll take one more group breath together. Inhaling your arms up overhead. Exhaling your hands to your heart. Thanks for joining me for today's practice. If you would like to continue reflecting on this name of God, Yahweh Yireh or Jehovah Jireh, and reminding yourself throughout the week that the Lord will provide, I have a worship song linked in the description below this video that you can just listen to throughout the week. So make sure to check out that link below this video, and I will see you in our next practice.